Okay. So we're going to talk about the describing one area of concern and presenting an explanation of the problem, the strategy, and the assessment process that will measure the impact of strategy. So I did learning environments, and so the widespread consensus is, that our education systems are failing to prepare our kids for the 21st century. I think that went with all of our choices for doing it. So learning environments, of course, is your classroom area, but then also your teaching habits. Using technology was a main component of it. Because so many 21st century jobs are using technology so much to do everything. And I guess we weren't using it enough in the classroom, so kids weren't having enough experience with it. So it wants to make sure, I think it's so important to make sure that all of the technology tools are available for teachers in the classroom so they can use them to do deep learning in all subjects. And then also the amount of seat time. So you could downsize that to use more flexible units of time that enable project-based work. So those are the main areas of problem that need strategies to solve. So for the strategies, to ensure that physical infrastructure supports 21st century knowledge and skills. So to make sure, I guess, that the classroom is a safe learning environment for the kids and that kind of thing. I think for learning environments, you have to kind of be in it to make sure it's taking place. You have to, I guess it goes back to observations and being in there and watching the teacher teach. Yep. That kind of thing. So I was thinking that's a main part of the assessment is going to be I guess observations, kind of we all I'm sure have now. And then same thing for the technology stuff, because we just got one-to-one devices last year, and my principal asked us all to teach a technology lesson for our last 2 observations. So I guess that was his form of assessment to make sure that we were really incorporating the use of technology into all subjects, and we had to teach it on a different subject both times. So really for the assessment process, that's what I was thinking. And then especially, I guess, PD to make sure new teachers are, because I didn't really learn that much about technology use in the classroom when I was in college. I had a technology class, but I don't really remember that much from it. The main thing that has been so good for me to be able to use the one-to-one devices is all the PD we get through the county. And that's been so beneficial. So I think that would be beneficial for everybody, because there's so many websites and stuff out there that you have no idea about until you.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what my learning environments was.
All right. I'll go next.
Okay.
All right. So the area I picked was continuous improvement. Part of the reason I wanted to pick it was because it basically applies to everything. Because obviously you have to be improving in whatever we're doing. You can't be content with where you're at. Always got to be looking for the next thing. So I think that applied to, leadership, curriculum, assessment, all the areas. As far as the problem, I think the biggest problem really boils down to the fact that people don't like change. And when you tell a teacher that they've been doing something for 20 years and we're going to go a different way, they're always going to fight you on it. I'm sure you have teachers in your building, just like I do, that do things a certain way and they've always been doing it that way. Yep. So when you tell them that we're going to try to change this to make it a little better, or improve it, they're obviously going to fight you on it a little bit. So finding the best way to implement it, whether it be I know that we have a couple of things we're doing this year that our principal just implemented, but she's doing it over 3 years instead of just throwing it all at you at once. She kind of slowly is introducing it step by step. Um, incorporating 21st century skills, obviously technology, like you said, is like the biggest thing these days. But I do think that we have to be careful because we have a couple classrooms in my school specifically I can think of where I think the teachers go a little bit too far with it. Like I get like removing the desks and doing like more like group learning stuff, which is how a couple of our rooms are. But like they basically are always on the iPads and always typing and like not using a lot of handwritten stuff. I just feel like we got to make sure that there's a complement of both. Even though technology is great, they still need to know how to write and read and do like the basic skill things that technology sometimes can do it for you.
Yeah, like cursive is like out now.
It's gone.
We don't even teach it anymore.
Cursive is gone. Like, what did we even learn it for back when we learned it? No one uses it.
Yeah.
And they can't read it either.
No, they can't read it. They can't sign their names. Like,
no, that's still something you have to be able to do, and they don't even teach it.
I know.
For strategies, I put PD on there too. I feel like that's a strategy for everything. Obviously, professional development, training. Obviously, if you're going to have a new program, the teacher has to be trained on how to implement it the right way, or there's not going to be growth and student success. I said like a school improvement plan would be like the best strategy. Like every school has some type of whatever you call it, but at the beginning of the year, you kind of lay out your like goals and objectives, things you're shooting for. And then at the end of the year, you kind of see where you're at and you make a new one and do that each year over and over again, trying to always strive to improve something.
Yeah.
And my school, we're like working on collaboration with our teams. So we have like a book study that we did this year. So like that like helps improve collaboration amongst the teams. Like the specialist team all is like a book that they're like all have a chapter to read. First grade has one, second grade has one, stuff like that. For assessment, I put like surveys, staff input, like finding a way to get input throughout your staff, what is working, what is not, why. You're always going to have some staff that are not going to give you any answer. They're just going to give you the yes, no. But hopefully there are some staff members within your school that are going to help you out and give you some kind of input to help make things better. Reflecting on what's working and improving it. Also, a lot of different committees to help like keep everything balanced. Like our SLT team, every grade level has a teacher that they send and specials and administration. So like if you have a problem, you relay it to that person and then we talk about it at the meeting and try to fix it. That's just another thing with improvement. And I put progress monitoring. So just like checking in on any new program you have to make sure that it is running smoothly and they're showing growth, like using the data to show the student are improving using that new strategy. And even the teachers too, like checking, because if they're not implementing it the right way, the kids obviously aren't going to have a lot of success with it. That's how I took improvement.
All right. I did assessment, and the big thing that it spoke about with the 21st century knowledge is that students aren't being prepared to take assessments that include higher order of thinking and applying what they know. It's still a lot of regurgitation and just memorization. So that's the main thing, is getting students to apply their knowledge to new situations, and of course using the technology to do that. And then some strategies that I found were basically using different types of assessment, of course formative and summative, not just using one or the other, and incorporating those higher order thinking skills into those assessments, so you're not just on a continuous regurgitation level. It goes back to that rigor and application, making sure that they go through that entire process. And also using, of course, like the laptops, different things. Found one was a portfolio to demonstrate mastery, and students could create a portfolio that they took with them from starting in kindergarten all the way through high school, and then they could show each teacher as well as employers that, look, this is the skills I have, this is what I've accomplished and what I have mastered, through school and learning. So that was one thing that I found that would help with it. And then as far as assessment, You assess an estimate. Well, I guess it's just looking at the data. Of course, taking the different types of data, the value added data, and I think too another strategy to use is creating not only having the formative and summative assessment, but creating benchmarks and linking all of those two things that way are